Public facilities relate to our basic needs, and the Indian Constitution recognizes the right to water, health, education, etc. as being a part of the right to life. Thus, one of the major roles of the government is to ensure adequate public facilities for everyone. But progress on this front has been far from satisfactory. In this chapter, we will study water and the people of Chennai. Senior government officials like Mr. Iyer live in Anna Nagar, Chennai. This area looks lush and green with lawns maintained by a generous spraying of water. Bungalows here have tap water for major part of the day. On days when the water supply is inadequate, Mr. Iyer speaks to a senior official whom he knows in the municipal water board, and a water tanker is easily arranged for his house. Like most areas of the city, Krishnamurthy's apartments in Mylapore suffers from water shortage. This area gets municipal water once in 2 days. A private borewell meets some of the residents' water needs. Borewell water is, however, brackish, so the residents use it in their toilets and for washing. For other uses, water is purchased from tankers. Krishnamurthy spends up to Rs 500 to 600 per month on buying water from the tankers. For drinking water, residents have installed water purification systems in their homes. Water as part of the fundamental right to life. The Constitution of India recognizes the right to water as being a part of the right to life under Article 21. This implies that it is the right of every person, whether rich or poor, to have sufficient amounts of water to fulfill his or her daily needs at a price that he or she can afford. There have been several court cases in which both the High Courts and the Supreme Court have held that the right to safe drinking water is a fundamental right. Public facilities. Like water, there are other essential facilities like electricity, public transport, schools, colleges that need to be provided for everyone. These are known as public facilities. The important characteristic of a public facility is that once it is provided, its benefits can be shared by many people. For instance, a school in the village will enable many children to get educated. The government's role. One of the most important functions of the government is to ensure that the public facilities are made available to everyone. The government and only the government must bear this responsibility because of 2 reasons. Firstly, private companies do not get into the fields which do not yield any profits. Secondly, when private companies provide public facilities, they provide it at a price that only some people can afford and deprive the others to have a decent life. The responsibility to provide public facilities, therefore, must be that of the government. Water supply to Chennai. Is it available to all? While there is no doubt that public facilities should be made available to all, in reality we see that there is a great shortage of such facilities. For instance, water supply in Chennai is marked by shortages. Municipal supply meets only about half the needs of the people of the city on an average. The areas that are close to the storage points get more water, whereas colonies further away receive less water. The burden of shortfalls in water supply falls mostly on the poor. Apart from the availability of water, access to safe drinking water is also available to some, and this depends on what one can afford. People who can afford have safe drinking water, whereas the poor are again left out. In reality, therefore, it seems that it is only people with money who have the right to water, a far cry from the goal of universal access to sufficient and safe water. In search of alternatives. A shortage of municipal water is often taken as a sign of failure of the government. Some people argue that since the government is unable to supply the needed amount of water, we should allow private companies to take over the task of water supply. According to them, private companies can perform better. However, before jumping on to any conclusions, we should consider the following facts. Throughout the world, water supply is a function of the government. There are areas in the world where public water supply has achieved universal access. In a few cases, where the responsibility for water supply was handed over to private companies, there was a steep rise in the price of water, making it unaffordable for many. Cities saw huge protests, with riots breaking out in places like Bolivia, forcing the government to take back the service from private hands.